Hello, everybody. I hope all is well with you. As you see, look what the cat drug in. We found Mr. Donovan Sadiq roaming those alleyways and all that. No, but in all seriousness, we're glad that he is back. You know, Donovan be having a million things going on, but he is gracious enough to be here today. So I should say that the purpose of the Demetri K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community. That makes us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Also to my wonderful moderators, thank you so much in all that you do in holding down the comment section. I would not and could not do this without you. So today we're going to be continuing on talking about the whole food stamp situation, as there are more and more levels added, it seems like, every day. But specifically, we're going to be talking about Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson temporarily stopped the orders to the Trump administration to fully fund the SNAP to millions of needy Americans. Again, there's levels to this. So I'm going to give it all the context, and then we're going to, have a conversation about it. As I've seen a lot of people talk about it, like, how dare her? I did a little bit more digging to get a little bit more understanding as to why and what happened, but it's still worthy of a discussion, because essentially millions of Americans that need SNAP benefits, food stamps, still did not get their food stamps, and they are right now still in limbo. So Donovan, how are you doing today?
I am doing better than I did yesterday. Thank you for having me back, you guys. Sorry I had to take some time away for some, the brother's getting old. The rabbit coat is getting old, so I got to take care of myself. So I'm glad to be back. I know I sound a little congested. I got the flu shot, so it's starting to kick in now. So I got to take care of that. But I'm back. Here we are. Hopefully I won't have to go back anytime soon, because it was traumatic. Trust me, it was traumatic. But do us a favor. We have a scrolling banner at the bottom there. If you guys want to continue to donate, have these great conversations. It's one way you can contribute and keep the content creator motivated. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, cash, money order, however you guys want to do it. Also, do not forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get it on Google Play, Apple Store. Not only will you get great videos that you get in regards to Demetri K, you guys seen her on the Emancipation Channel and all these other aspects. You'll get Vicky Dillard, Brother Phil Scott, Wangel, and a whole host of other contributors that keep contributing to the African Diaspora News Network app. Original content is there. As a matter of fact, a lot of stuff's going to be happening in the new year, according to Brother Phil. So be on the lookout for that. The best thing to do is get a lifetime membership. We get the lifetime membership. Hey, no matter how much it goes up, you're in it for a lifetime. And one of the best Christmas gifts you can give somebody is the gift of knowledge. So you got graduates happening this year. Give them a gift of knowledge, especially our older brothers and sisters and elders. They're sitting around enjoying their retirement. Why not, sit around and listen to what's going on in the African diaspora? So again, African Diaspora News Channel app, get it on Google Play, Apple Store.
Absolutely. All right. So, and I'm going to get to all the comments in just a few. So once again, thank y'all for joining us on this fine Sunday afternoon. So of course, as you guys may or may not know, we are in the middle of a shutdown. I think it's like day 40 now, which is now the longest shutdown in history. Both of the longest shutdowns in history belong to Trump. The first time he was president, 45 and 47. Now that he is president. So again, we know that with the shutdown, Congress could not agree on a bill to fund the government. Now, there was some back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans. In a nutshell, the Republicans are basically like, the Democrats won't agree to fund the government, to open back up the government, because the Democrats are saying, well, the Republicans want to cut health care, and it's going to cause premiums for millions of Americans to go up, which we have heard a lot about that. Of course, the Democrats are also saying that they do not want to, acquiesce to any of that. So there's been all these proposals going forward. The Republicans are saying, okay, well, let's fund it for this amount of time. Let's just agree, and then we could come back to the table. But the Democrats are saying, no, we're not going to agree, because essentially if we agree with you, then what's to bring you back to the table? So the last thing that I heard is that the Democrats are like, okay, great, let's fix the medical situation for a year, and, keep the premiums where they are, and then we could come back and revisit it, and we'll agree to open up the government. The Republicans said, no, we're not going to do that. Now, I'm going to give this to you best I can. So, of course, with the shutdown, you know that there's a lot of programs and things that cannot be funded. There's been, to what I understand, hundreds of thousands of federal employees, or maybe, I don't know, 100,000 or so, could be wrong. Federal employees that have been furloughed, lost their jobs, for lack of better words. There are a lot of employees like the aviation portion of the government that are forced to work. Now, it sounds like a lot of them are like, yo, I'm out of here, because this past Friday made it to where they now missed 2 paychecks. And so it is said that there's 13,000 of them that have not gotten paychecks in the course. A lot of them are saying, hey, I can't work for free. So they're leaving to go do other things. Now, with that, the Secretary of Transportation made a decision last week that, okay, we'll bet we cannot have the airways unsafe. So what we're going to start to do is reduce the air traffic by, in totality, 10%. Right now, it seems like it's about 4, maybe 7% in 40 airports, which means that we're going to have to cancel some flights. There's going to be some delays and a whole host of other things. Now, many people at airports that are travelers have lamented about having their flights canceled, waiting in lines for over 3 hours, and a whole host of other things. Now, with that, the SNAP program, which funds benefits, right? Of course, that was delayed as of November 1st. 42 million Americans did not receive their benefits. Because of the Trump administration saying, well, we don't have it, but then the Democrats in Congress and others, including some other judges, basically say you do have it. It's called a contingency fund, but for whatever reason, they were not releasing those. So a judge in Rhode Island who was in a lower court, so he's a federal judge by the name of McConnell, says, yeah, y'all being Trump, y'all need to release those funds because you are kind of, in a sense, using it for political gain, if you will. This is what the judge said. So, of course, the Trump administration then sounds like they released these funds to the agricultural department. And from that point, there was many states, including California, like, bam, they released the benefits as fast as they could. So there are some states who beneficiaries did get some food stamps, but there's a lot of other states that didn't. So the Trump administration, they appealed the lower court's decision to the Supreme Court. Now, in that faction of the Supreme Court, you have Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is over that particular district that the judge made that ruling in. And so she had 3 choices. She could have granted the stay, which she did. So a stay is a pause. She could have paused the decision from the lower court and said, okay, let's wait and see. Let's let it play out. So she decided to do a stay, which means, okay, we're going to pause the decision. And from that, the Trump administration was like, okay, bet. They sent out all these notices and stuff to the states, said, hey, you stop sending out food stamps right now. If you do, you're in direct violation, this, that, and the other. Well, there are some states, it sounds like New Jersey and a couple other ones, like, man, forget what you're talking about. We're going to fund them. We're going to give these food stamps out anyway, because the original order we got was to do it. But there are some that pause it, like California. They have a system where they give the food stamps out from the 1st through the 7th, and then the 8th through the 10th. Well, the people from the 1st through the 7th, they got their food stamps, but the people from the 8th through the 10th did not get it, because that stay from Ketanji Brown Jackson was put in place. And so she also could have denied the stay, which means letting the lower court decision stand. Basically saying, well, I agree with Judge McConnell, the federal court and lower decision, that, yeah, it is not right that you guys are holding on to these funds, so you can send it. Or she could refer it to the Supreme Court so they all could decide. Now, again, that happened because that was in her district, but we're keeping in mind, she could have said, well, you know what? I'm going to deny the stay. I'm not going to agree that you guys should not be sending out money, but that she did grant the stay. It's a mess. It's a ball of confusion because, again, different states don't know what to do, this, that, and the other. So, of course, there's a lot of Democrats are like, yo, this ain't right. And they even brought Biden out, for God's sake. I forget where he was, but he was speaking and he slammed the Trump administration best he could, basically saying it's not right that you are starving Americans and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So, of course, Democrats are not happy with that decision. Now, if you guys know how it works, plaintiffs, that's what they're called, from different states, they're actually the ones that sued the Trump administration. right? So the Trump administration, in this sense, are the defendants. So right now, the defendants, being Trump and the administration, could say, yeah, we're not going to send it out. Now, of course, Trump is basically saying to the Democrats, well, you guys open up the governments, then we'll, send out the food stamps, which is why I think some of those judges, Judge McConnell, Rhode Island, wasn't the only one. There were other ones basically saying this is y'all kind of using this for, like a political football type of thing. So it has to, in this case, continue to work its way through the lower courts with all these appeals and things before I guess it gets to the Supreme Court. But, just for me in reading this, Ketanji Brown Jackson could have, but she didn't. So the question we need to ask is why? Why would she agree to pause 40 to, let's say, almost 42 million Americans not getting their food stamp benefits when she could have said, you know what, I'm not going to, I'm going to deny the stay. So Donovan, then I'll get into the comment section.
Yeah, real quick, that was a really great summary you did. For those of you guys that don't understand how the Supreme Court works and stuff, people are basically asking, why does Ketanji Brown have the overall authority to do all of this? Well, you got the Supreme Court members and you have the lower court, and they're divided in regions, right? And so whatever region she's assigned to, that's her jurisdiction, and she basically speaks for the Supreme Court overall until it's decided. So for those guys that kind of don't understand why she has that jurisdiction, is because it came up through her region to where she has that authority. Every Supreme Court person has a region that they're in control of. So that was a great summary. Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? A woman who could not define what a woman was. A woman who is married to a other man. And very interesting. We talk about the brother man, Clarence Thomas, and all of his buck dancing and everything that he does. And now we have this woman here who is gaslighting and playing like she's so pro this and pro that and pro that. Where, you guys? Where? I am so tired of the performative politics that go on, especially when it comes to people who need these things, right? Why would a Black woman pause things that she knows people need, especially her people? But this is what they do when they're trying to impress Zaddy. Ice Cube said it a long time ago. White police showing out for the white, Black police showing out for the white cop. None of this is surprising. This is all performative, and it is a way to do this. I want you guys to think about this. When I was convalescing, or whatever you say it, and resting, I was thinking about this. As this shutdown continues to go on, people who have saved money are going to have to dip into it's been almost 2 months, going to have to dip into their savings. And as they're dipping into their savings to make their house payments, to make their car payments, to make their school debt, to pay for their kids' private school or whatever, extracurricular activities, their money is getting lower and lower, right? Because they don't have nothing coming in. Thank goodness there's a law that says federal employees have to be reimbursed that payment. So they're going to get their money back. But for a lot of people, is that going to be too late? I just think this is another money movement to take money out of the middle class. If you believe in a middle class, I don't believe in a middle class, and to put them at a level where everybody else is. There's going to be the have and the have-nots, because for this to continue to go on, and it's crazy, Demetria, because like I said, I've been arguing with a lot of people, and it's super funny. If you are for illegal immigration or if you're against it, it doesn't matter at this point, but a lot of these budgets have been busted because we've been supporting people who should not be here to begin with. And it is costing people. They're using that as one of the tactics that the Democrats are using that as leverage, this healthcare situation, which, people, it doesn't make sense that they're using it to deny people who support illegal immigration that have just now been furloughed and lost their jobs. This is the buffoonery that we are involved in, and people don't even realize it because they don't do enough research to understand. I was just on a quick live before I came on. There was a friend of mine who did not even know that the KKK was the military arm of the Democratic Party, and yet she's a hardcore Democratic member. Nothing is surprising me anymore. Demetra and our co-hosts, if I'm going to be a member of an organization, don't you think I should know what the organization stands for and what it doesn't stand for before I join it? How do you not know that the KKK, a racist organization, is a military wing of the Democratic Party? How do you not know that the Democratic Party basic platform is anti-Black? It's amazing to me. But again, in my opinion, and I'm going to say that I don't care if you guys like this or not, but I could be wrong. I just doubt it. Every one of those people that are sitting in the Senate and in the House need to be voted out, and we need to start over. There is no excuse why the United States government shuts down on politics. I'm going to leave it right there.
Absolutely. And I've seen, and I'm going to get to the rest of the comments, a lot of people talking about the check, the $2,000 check that Trump said that he was going to issue out. He actually said it on Truth Social that Americans, excluding the wealthy, right? So I think 100,000 or something like that is the threshold. Don't quote me, that would get $2,000 checks. But of course, that has to take an act of Congress. There's a lot of economists. It's like it sounds cute in theory. Again, this is because of the tariffs. But they've only collected about $90 billion in tariffs, and it would cost about $300 billion. It sounds like to issue $2,000 to everybody. So, it sounds good, but, and they also said the national debt is almost 40 trillion. So a lot of economists are saying, yeah, we need to pay that down first. Basically, you Americans, Trump is lying if he does that. Now, Josh Hawley, earlier this year talked about $600 to the American people, whatever. But if you ask me, and just my opinion is not professional or anything, I think that Trump is talking about $2,000 because he's up against the wall, right? I was under JD Vance's post on Twitter the other day when they were talking about, he was trying to downplay the Democrats winning, a lot of things this past Tuesday and things like that. And so many MAGA people, the Republicans, was like, okay, playtime is over. A lot of them are saying we're hungry, we can't eat, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. It was cute, but it's not, forget blaming the Democrats. What are you all going to do for the American people? So I personally think that they see that writing on the wall. And they feel like throwing out $2,000 to the American people will be a distraction or a mea culpa, some sort of forgiveness. But nowadays, in this economy, if you need $2,000, it's probably already gone, right? So yeah, Cynthia said, I heard that FBA's Americans might be receiving $2,000 checks. So it sounds cool when he posted on, X or Truth Social, but when it's all broken down, it's like, is he really going to do that? Because can he? Why would he he being the United States make $90 billion off of tariffs, but then spend about $300 billion to pay Americans $2,000? It's it makes you go, So anyway, let me skip down. Let's see who else is on here. Arneva, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Buckhorse in the building. Mr. South Carolina, hope you're doing well. Let's see. L, how you doing? It says, I have a question. Can the Democrats approve the SNAP benefits open without the Republican approval? No, they cannot. In fact, the Republicans need, I think, about 5 more Democrats to come on over and agree because it does take a certain amount. I think they need 60 votes or something like that, and they don't have it. So they need about 5 more Democrats from the House. It sounds like the Senate has already done their, the House has already
done their job, right?
Yeah, but the Senate now needs to, and so that's where the hiccup is. But no, they cannot.
And everybody remember, the filibuster is a rule. Everybody that comes, whoever's in control or the majority leader, they set the rule. The filibuster was something that was done in the 1950s to appease the Southern Democrats because they wanted to stop civil rights legislation. Wow, isn't that interesting? Southern Democrats, a Democrat wanted to stop civil rights legislation, so they came up with this thing called the filibuster. It is a rule. It is not a law. They don't have to abide by it. The leader of the Republicans, he can drop the filibuster right now if he wanted to. But again, the Democrats use it and the Republicans use it. So I don't understand why we have to have a super majority to pass basic legislation. In the House, there is no filibuster. It's majority rule. Shouldn't that be the same way in the Senate? I think so.
Yeah, very interesting. And JJ says Ketanji pulled the same crap before she got to the Supreme Court. She just wants to be accepted by the establishment. That's how she got on the bench. You talk about in regards to denying those black workers, I think they're warehouse workers, of a discrimination suit. So yeah, you would think, and I understand why people are taking her to task. Again, you're a black woman, right? A lot of black people rallied behind her. Jennifer Lewis, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And all of that. And it's like, you could have, but you didn't. I mean, because to me, if I was in her situation, it's just me. I don't know. If I had the ability to grant or deny, I would have denied it. I would like, let these people eat. Then we, try to figure something else out. But a lot of people are also pointing out that there the Trump administration is, and everybody who's, rah-rahing with them are there appealing to not send out financial help to people who need to buy food, So yeah, let's see. Alchemetics, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Who else is on here? Thank you, one who cares, for asking everybody to hit the like button. Love and appreciate you for that. And Mike, nice also for your reminder. Thank you. And yes, Brother James, you are right. We are going to be forced to do for self. Sister Marcella, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Cindy says, why is everyone tripping on Judge Brown? I remember when she couldn't answer the question concerning finding a woman. Well, yeah, she needed to toe the line with the Democrat. Well, she didn't want to toe the line with the Democratic Party, right? Frederick, how you doing? Says, because we're not her people. She's a Caribbean person that's not Black American. Okay, so I don't really know a lot about Ketanji. Kimberly, how you doing? Says, I thought she was just following the law. Yeah, so she had choices in that. It wasn't like she had to grant the stay, which means the pause. She could have denied the pause or the stay and says, we're going to let the lower court decision stand. But she's like, no, I'm going to pause it, which means that we're not going to force the Trump administration to send out the money. We're going to pause it for now so it could work its way up and through. But she didn't have to do that. She could have agreed. So I just want to be clear. Yanni, how you doing? Donovan, do you have something to say? No, okay. Yanni, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. James, what's going on with you? How you doing? Herbert, how you doing? He says, it was the Democrats all along. Democrats are what all along? African Native. He says, because less and less countries are buying U.S. bonds and using USD money, trading on the global scale. The U.S. Reserve banks are forced to drastically reduce the printing of dollars, hence a recession. Yeah, but it's been that way for a long time, right? They also say, too, don't believe because you see the stock market rallying that it's good. The economy is good, per se, for everybody. It's only good for people who are playing. But that they say if you study history and see what happened, especially during the Great Depression, that the same thing happened as well. So, yeah. K-Mac, how you doing? Says, I support Donald Trump. Get them out of here. We should not have to pay and give them free health care. So you're talking about the immigrants. So again, that is the point of contention. The Republicans are saying that the Democrats are wanting to give free health care to immigrants, but that has never been a thing on the federal level, and they're not trying to make it a thing now. Now, of course, if y'all talking about them disseminating money to the states and the states do it, yeah, that's a different story, but they're not legislating that in the bill. And I, would just kind of wish people would just go see for themselves. Don't believe what I'm saying, but that's not something they're actively fighting for on the federal level, because federally it's not even a law that they can. So I just want to put that out there. Sydney, how you doing? Agreed. People need health care. And then I don't know if y'all saw too. See, this is why I said Trump ain't stupid. Even though he was falling asleep, man, he fell out asleep. Okay, this dude was knocked out. But he's also talking about taking the money from the healthcare companies and giving it to the people. So that's why he getting his butt kicked in the polls and public opinion in regards to his party, because now all of a sudden you're throwing you talking about doing it. Well, we'll just take the money from the insurance companies and give it to the people. It's like, don't talk about it, do it. Be about it.
See, and that's where the socialism and the communism comes into it. But it also this also shows you guys the need for term limits. If the president and age restrictions, because look at what a joke we are that we have these people that are supposed to be leading the country falling asleep in meetings and doing what they're doing because of their age. There does come a time that ageism needs to be practiced. Do we let a 9-year-old drive a car? Because technically, according to a lot of people, oh, that's discrimination. You're discriminating against a 9-year-old because she's 9 years old. No, there's a reason why certain positions, it's like being a pilot. You can only be a pilot till I think you're 65. I think they raised it. I'm not sure because there was a pilot shortage. But my point is, certain things you can, that you have to do. And we need term limits and age restrictions because look at Nancy Pelosi, 85 years old, and now after wrecking the Democratic Party, leaving it in shambles, her, and I don't think she's going to be the only one left leaving. We're going to carry your girl out over here, Maxine Waters. We're going to carry her out. But her, Clyburn, that old leadership, these people now see what happened in New York. It's time to go. Remember when Nancy Pelosi slapped down AOC and the squad? Remember when she did that? She slapped them down and put them in their place. Wow, isn't it funny how the times have now turned and AOC seems to be a possible threat to Chuck Schumer? All of this old guard people, they will be running out of the party.
Absolutely. HGLC, how you doing? Says, my understanding is Ketanji issued the temporary order because the lower court said they needed 48 hours to review the case that would force EBT payments permanently. They had already made the decision to release the funds, which is why the state started doing it, because the Trump administration was like, all right, I guess, begrudgingly. And then they appealed. So I guess while they were appealing, that ruling was made. And then Ketanji, she agreed for a stay. So she didn't have to agree for a stay, which a pause. She could have denied it, but she did not. So I hope that helps. And I'm going to go back to this one here. Let's see. Billy, how you doing? Says Republicans have the White House, the House, and the Senate, but hey, let's blame the Democrats. I see what you're saying. I typically would like to believe it's both of them, but yes, there's a lot of people saying, including Trump. He has said that. He says if a shutdown happens under a certain president, it's that president's fault. That's what he said. Okay, but I guess now it's not applicable to him. But there's still some things that need to be done. Like they cannot just go ahead and approve a spending bill because they need buy-in from, right now I think it's 5 Democrats. So it sounds like 2 or 3 Democrats did cross over, but they do not have enough. So in a sense, it's both of their faults. Hey Perry, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Donovan, you want to jump in there? Sydney says it also protects the small states.
Yeah, and Sydney's talking about this filibuster. That's what it used to do. The fact of that, to do it now doesn't. I've been telling people, as we're finding out more and more under this Trump administration, which is a positive, I think. I said, I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump, but let's look at some of the positive things that he's done. He's exposed what can be done and what can't be done in government. And one of the things that I've noticed that he's exposed, we need to update these damn laws. These laws need to be updated. Have you guys noticed that some of the things, as we're fighting about food stamps and stuff like that, they're going back to the 1930s and 40s using laws that have never been used on the books before. And they're justifying what they're doing. So some of the denial goes way back to the 1930s. They're saying, well, you can't do that because in 1930, it was written this, and that. And vice versa. We need to upgrade these damn laws.
Absolutely. Yeah, Brother Easy says, am I bracing for the 2-day winter? I guess, right? It's going to come and go. Supposed to be like 59 degrees or something like that one day, tomorrow, and then a little warmer. Then it kind of goes up and down. It's bipolar. But yeah, I welcome it. All right, so let's see. Gerald, how you doing? Says, come on. It's bull. Okay, and Yanni says, Ketanji looks like she has turned a few tricks and favors to get where she is. Oh, my Lord. Absolutely, Kimberly. No worries. Y'all wilding. Cynthia, thank you so much for that. Love and appreciate you. So, a big shout out to the AKA Big Gretch for sending SNAP benefits to Michiganders ASAP. Yes, so she did. And California did as well. But like I said, they have a system to where they do them in waves, so waves of 2. So they did the first one, and then that Ketanji they gave a pause, and so they couldn't send them out. But some other states was like, too late. We already pushed the button, right? But yeah, it's a mess, to be honest with you. FHM, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Don't believe media, what's going on with you. The truth is, how you doing? So Dimitri and Donovan, anyone got an update on the progress of the nationwide boycott? So you talk about the one that's supposed to be happening at the end of November through the first week of December. I mean, I've seen a lot of people talking about it, but and this is supposed to be everybody doing it. No shopping, not going to work, gas, or any of that other stuff. I don't know. It remains to be seen. Like I said, I came into doing this, for lack of better words, talking about boycotting over 10 years ago. So I don't have a problem with boycotting, but apparently the American people, whether a Black American, whatever it is, has an issue with boycotting. But to me, like I said, and I'm always say it seemed like that would be the fastest way to get the point across. Well, y'all want to do A, B, C, and D to the American people, and the American people are not forced to spend money. Right? It could be so simple, but people want to get out there and be romping and stomping and getting tear gassed and stuff. Not me. So yeah.
Well, you know what I think, Demetria? I think they've solved that for us about boycotting. Because they've taken so much money from the American people that we ain't got to worry about boycotting, because there ain't going to be a lot of people out there shopping this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. And HGSC says, I got no problem with Ketanji saying take 2 days to get a permanent solution instead of a quick temporary fix. You know why I have a problem with it? Because she know damn well that those food stamps are already going out to people who had already been waiting for a week at that point to get their food stamps. And so then you issue a stay when you could have just said no, right? But now that these people, and it's cruel. I mean, to me, the whole thing of holding food stamps to needy people is cruel, but it's also cruel to have these people thinking, oh, okay, bet we're going to get this deposit. And then, no, it's not, because she wants to wait this, that, and the other. I mean, to me, I could see if it was something that wasn't dire, but it is dire because there are a lot of people who are dependent upon those food stamps going out. And to say, because to me, you're going to take 2 days, what difference does it make? It sounds like the lower court already made their decision. In fact, a few federal judges have made a decision in regards to saying Trump and them are wrong. In fact, they call it, in a sense, a political game. So I have a problem with it. I think it's cruel to do that to people. That's like putting a T-bone steak in front of a person who hadn't eaten in a week. And then as soon as they get ready to put their fork and knife in the A1 sauce on the steak, it's like, psych. Well, we're going to wait and see. So that's why I have a problem with it. Brother James, thank you so much for becoming a member. Love and appreciate you for that. He says, please get back on Chicago case. I mean, I got a lot of stuff I got to talk about, but I talk about Chicago. I talk about Chicago here and there. And I know there's a lot of other people that talk about Chicago, but I got so many things that I have to talk about. I'd love to really just spend time talking about Chicago, and I will. I try to, I think, cover a story at least once a week, if not every 2 weeks. About Chicago. But my thing is this, Brother James, it's really up to the people of Chicago to really send a message to that of Brandon Johnson, as y'all did with Lori Lightfoot. Y'all said, nah, we ain't for the foolishness. So y'all need to do the same thing with him. Make him a one-term mayor, I think. But yeah, I'm going to continue to talk about Chicago, but thank you. Fast Not Feeling says, nothing is wrong with socialism. In fact, China is whipping the U.S. ass in just about everything with their socialism. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And I think Donovan and I was having this conversation earlier. Socialism and communism, they're in the same building per se. It gets a bad name because it was supposed to have a bad name by the machine. The propaganda machine told you that communism and socialism is wrong. But it just basically says that we're going to make sure the least of us at least has, like you said, in China, what they need. They need at least have their basic necessities. They don't have to be like, oh my God, the rent is too damn high. I'm asleep in my car. Type of stuff. Over here, not so much. So yeah, let's see.
Well, I have a better question for you, Demetria. Why can't the United States follow in the footsteps of your favorite country, Japan?
or Cuba. You know, they don't want to. You know, over here, again, I like to go to that frog in a boiling pot of water. We just continue to let the heat turn up, and we just adjust. And they do it to us. So if you got the people who are willing to, because you got to keep it in mind too. We talk about this all the time. They go to Washington or wherever to serve us. But the other way around now is like, oh, we'll get to you if we get to you if we want to do that. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. So it should be that way. We shouldn't have a country to where people are sleeping on the streets or children are going to bed hungry. But then you hear about the same country sending money, because isn't that a form of socialism? When you send money to other countries and they eating greedy, you know, they call one of them countries, y'all fill in the blanks, a welfare queen. Except that country is the welfare queen of America because America gives it a lot of money. But Sydney says, let's talk about socialism. Giving companies subsidies for AI is okay, but helping poor people with health insurance, hey, there's no arguments with me. I agree. A lot of these corporations, especially Walmart, they benefit from socialism probably more so than most corporations do. But you're right. But again, that propaganda machine has told us that socialism is wrong, especially when it comes to the individual, but never to think about it from a corporation point of view. But you're right. When you talk, you want to talk about the welfare queen on on an individual basis, but you're told not to even dare hold the corporations accountable.
Yeah, there's something that I want you guys to think about what I'm going to say right now. Treason doth never prosper, wrote an English poet. Say it again. Treason doth never prosper, wrote an English poet. Why? Because if it prospers, none dare call it treason. Think about it.
Absolutely. So yeah, you got to, tamp down that type of conversation. Let's see, who else haven't I seen? Jamal says Karen Bass married to a Caucasian. Karen, come on, married to a Caucasian. Is Karen married to a white man?
Yeah, okay. Karen Bass is married currently to a white man. I don't know, but he's identified as a white man, but her first husband was a Latino, and they had a baby and child. And unfortunately, that Karen Bass's daughter, she only had one child with her husband, and her son-in-law were tragically killed in an auto accident in Los Angeles in 2002. So,
yeah, I didn't know she was married to a white man. I know she was married to a Mexican.
Yeah, her current husband is white. Yeah.
Well, Miss Sweets, how you doing today? Albie, what's going on with you? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Slim Slammer, how you doing? He says drugs and food stamps will rock you to sleep. If you never start, you never need to quit. I agree with half of your comment. Again, food stamps is not because I think, unfortunately, and as I said before, we focus too much on the people who are committing fraud and maybe the people who are able-bodied and should be working, but most of those people are not that. Most of those people need those benefits. So it's not a sense of I'm dependent because I can't get after it. We talk about disabled seniors. I don't think seniors should ever have to pay for food again. Disabled, they shouldn't. And children. Children, regardless of what their parents got going on, I don't think we should be arguing whether they need to eat or not. Children should not go hungry again, and especially in a country that gives so much money to everybody else, regardless of what administration's in office, they help everybody else but other people. So I think we need to kind of redefine the way we look at food stamps. It gets such a negative conversation, and I get it. But again, as I always say, they're not going to talk about people who are doing good with the food stamps. It gets clicks and views and all of that if you talk about the people who are abusing the food stamp, which is less than 2%. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys do realize why we send so much money overseas. We send so much money overseas to have influence within those countries for the corporations. So we don't have to send troops overseas, because imperialism is now based on dollars. If we can buy the influence versus going in there and taking the resources, we're going to do that. And you see that's what's happening in Africa with China. China's going in there buying and using dollars to get a foothold to get the resources. And unfortunately, in every culture, in every group of people, there's going to be that one person that's willing to sell out everybody else so that they can put money in their pockets.
Absolutely. Killer Kalachi, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Since I heard these posts showing black people tripping over food stamps as AI generated. Yes, many of them are. But see, that's white folks getting their kicks. I'm imagining trying to, again, illustrate that as black people. But I have seen a lot of news coverage and they running all up in black people's faces with microphones, getting them to talk about, the food stamps and things like that. And I, for the life of me, wish we wouldn't do that, not to become entertainment for them, because that's what it is, to continue to try to paint the face of food stamp recipients as black people when it's plenty of their people that are recipients. My sisters, how you doing? Says Wisconsin sent out full SNAP benefits. In the future, each state must budget for SNAP and healthcare. Yes, so a lot of states did do that. Facts Not Feeling says Exhibit A of being anti-black on the low is Mondani saying black women, single mothers in his acceptance speech, and reference SNAP, but not once did he say black family or black men. This is low-key anti-black. I mean, it is, I guess. And it just depends on how you look at it. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, Eric Adams was anti-black because he didn't do a damn thing for black people at all, black men and black women. And Rahm Emanuel, none of them did. So they're all anti-black, right? So I guess, I don't know. I don't live in New York City. Maybe could speak to that. But, what do y'all expect people to do? You got Andrew Cuomo, who is alleged groper and all these other things he's accused of. As a governor, he had to step down. But then you had Eric Adams, who, was complicit in all that was going on with the migrants. And then you have Sliwa, who, is neither here or there. I don't hate Sliwa. So what do you expect for people to do? What were they supposed to do?
Well, what about your favorite politician from New York? Weiner.
Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner went and took his wiener under and put it under a rock, right? I don't know. Is he still with us? I don't know. We haven't heard anything about Anthony Weiner in a long time. Anthony's Weiner. So yeah, I'm just asking, and Brother Sidney, if you don't mind enlightening us, what would you? I don't know who you voted for, or who you thought would have been better, but I don't know. To me, like you looking at it in its totality, or the man, and I don't live in New York City, so I can't really speak to it, but I'm just kind of following all of the platforms and things. I mean, the man is talking about city-owned grocery stores, which there's a lot of food deserts in New York City. Why not, right? He's admittedly a socialist. Again, as I said, if you really think about what it means, is that really a bad thing? He's talking about put rent control in there, which New York City is amongst some of the highest rent in the nation, and some other things. So my thing is
free transportation. He's talking about free transportation to save the few bucks.
So you had Cuomo, who was the governor of the whole state. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. Was the state better off? The whole state of New York, was it better off under Cuomo? And would New York City have been better off? I'm just asking.
And then ask yourself this. With what happened in New York, this man did not get any endorsements until it was evident he was going to win. And it was half-ass endorsement by the Democratic establishment. He got no support from the Democratic establishment. And I'm not a socialist. I really don't care for the guy. But as a political person, I see what is happening. And it goes to show you, one person, one vote is still the standard. Even though they're trying to buy people's votes and, and suppress your right to vote and stuff like that, they just shook up the Democratic establishment. Think about this, you guys. One of the biggest strongholds outside of Chicago, the Democratic establishment in New York City, just got defeated by a socialist. Think about that. The shaking of the Democratic machine across the United States. So what's going to be next? Chicago? For the first time, Chicago in over 100 years could possibly lose the mayorship in Chicago, a stronghold, Democratic stronghold. Could it be LA next after that? The people are starting to speak up.
Yeah, and I think too, Mondani, I think is very telling. I think people are, like you said, starting to speak up, and people are like, okay, enough is enough. Like, what's next? We starve? Because like you said, all of these people, even Trump, endorsed Cuomo. So you got all these people who are wanting status quo, because that's what it is. Mondani is definitely not status quo, but all these people are wanting status quo, and it's like the New Yorkers overwhelmingly, because they voted for Mamdani overwhelmingly, told you we are tired of the status quo. Again, I don't live in New York City, but that's what they decided. We are tired of the status quo. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know a lot about Mamdani. He's young. I said, if that young candidate in whatever it is that I could vote for, if they are a good candidate, I'm voting for the younger candidate. And that's the other thing I think people need to realize. You got this 34-year-old. Then you got, what is Cuomo, like 70, close to it, give or take. So it's like that's a giant age gap. And we should be asking as a society, do we want to continue to vote in people who are old as Methuselah? Nothing wrong with old people. But of course, when they're older, they're going to continue to apply old train of thought to things. But yet here you got these young people, and not even we're talking about Mamdani, but you got these young people who can speak to things going on now. Cuomo's generation can pay their mortgage. They can pay their rent. So those people, Donovan, honestly, those people are making decisions based off of their pocketbook and what they can do to people who cannot do that. So I'm just saying, like, think about it in everything. Wouldn't you want somebody who could understand, hey, I'm 34, I can't hardly pay my rent too. Let's try to figure out how we can get a piece of this pie. Or you want to keep on with the status quo of ain't nothing wrong. We're going to wait and see. We're going to, give it to the buddies.
Yeah. Well, let me throw this out also. Remember,
thank you.
Yeah.
Love it. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Let me throw this out too. Now, New York is a very immigrant-strong city. Now, there was also a recent election in Minnesota where that young Somali guy was running. Now, here's the correlation I want you guys to think about. When you bring a group of people in mass into your country, it changes the dynamics of the country and the culture of the country in some way, some form, some fashion. Now, for that young Somali dude that ran for mayor of Minnesota to get the backing of his whole community, basically backed him up, whatever the deal is, we are looking at a drastic change of leadership across this country. And guess who is not invited to the party? Black people, because there's not enough of us to have a voice. And I think that's something that we need to start thinking about, especially at the local level. 6% of California, 6% or less of California is Black. Do you guys realize in the state of California, Black people have no say-so at what is built here, what is going on here? And this is going to be a model across the nation. So we got to be cognizant of that.
Absolutely. So, like I said, it all really remains to be seen at what's going to happen. Mamdani, he's not been in office at all yet, right? These are all things that he's talking about. Of course, there's a portion of the population there in New York City who's absolutely approved to it, because against it rather, because he is Muslim. Y'all could do what y'all want to do with that. Sister Shirley says, yeah, maybe if they take away 48% of illegal immigrants that's on food stamps, then they could cut down on the bill. I don't know. I guess, some states allow illegal immigrants to get it, but that's absolutely true. But in the meantime, let's just say that is what the case is. I don't know for sure. Why punish everybody? You know what I mean? Why punish everybody? And I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm just asking out loud. Kev J, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. It says, too bad most of the world doesn't know that ain't worth ish. And I'm sorry, I don't even know what that's in regards to, because I know I'm belabored in these comments. Let's see. I said the dollar ain't worth anything. Right. Got you. Okay, so let's see. And I see your comments, but I want to make sure that I catch up, because I see the time. Neo, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Who else haven't I seen? I got you. You're on two platforms. Sydney says, it's a big issue when you are Detective Adams, right? Who is retired police detective, lost the police union. Yeah, he was doing too much, right? Alleged corruption and things like that. Now he sounds like he's aligning himself with the Trump administration. He may or may not have a job. Sounds like he may or may not have taken some money. I was listening to an interview on NPR with Chris Sliwa, and he was saying, yeah, he's been offered millions of dollars to drop out. And he said he wouldn't do it. He says he's going to eventually tell who these people that offered him this money, because they felt like he was harming Cuomo. and that he would be taking votes away. But then when they did the math, it was like Sliwa got like 7%, Cuomo, they got like 30 or whatever it is. So it combined 30 something rather, combined, it would not have Trump, no pun intended, that of Mondani. So yeah, but Adams, he just a horrible mayor. And Easy says desocialism aims to reduce inequity and ensure the wealth created by society benefits everyone, not just a small elite. Good example of this is what's done to Gaddafi. Absolutely. And they don't want that. You got to have a class of people who are struggling, because that struggling class of people will do what everybody else won't do, right? Show up for these little jobs that's not going to pay you a whole lot of nothing, and then it may cost you to go get another job because you got to put those jobs together. So it's a lot going on. They can't have everybody feeling relief, right? Remember when the pandemic happened, where people were staying home and they're like, oh, well, I've never ate at the table with my whole family before. Now, of course, our generation, we used to do that all the time, but it had gotten to the point where everybody had got on this little hamster wheel and was like, we're just two ships passing in the night, right? But when the world was shut down, per se, people learned of what that was, and they never want us to get back to that again. They never
right. And because of the pandemic, a lot of people broke up.
Right. I don't like you after all. Absolutely. And I see Gearhead, how you doing? You says New York City will always vote for the dumbest person possible. I don't live in New York. I've been a few times, but I can understand maybe why people are voting for somebody out of hope, because it's bad there in New York. I mean, California is bad. Hell, Texas is bad. But New York, I mean, they paying $2,000 for a closet with no bathroom. You know what I mean? So when you hear somebody, that's why I said, why y'all didn't vote for the dude that said the rent is too damn high? The dude that had the white mustache and things like that. He sounded like he had a good plan, but I guess people didn't want that. Imagination of Innocence, how you doing? Says, was anybody looking forward to free stuff? Or better yet, actually believing somebody else is willing to pay for it. So when you say free stuff, see, this is my problem, and maybe y'all can help me out, because I don't know, old age is starting to get to me. Why is it, Donovan? Maybe you can help me. Why is it that we always pick over the bones when it comes to free stuff, when it comes to individuals? But we don't pick over the bones when it comes to free stuff when we talk about corporations and or politicians, right? Why are we more? And I'm not saying this about you, Imagination of Innocence. But why are we more mad at Glodadine and Melvin, Karen and Bob for getting food stamps, free stuff, right? Than we are the corporations and everybody else that are getting subsidies. Like somebody said, Walmart gets $3 billion a year in subsidies. So why aren't we mad at that? Why are we mad at Melvin for wanting to go get a damn tomato for free? Or when Israel and all these other countries, they get free stuff and nobody's mad.
Yeah. Why aren't we mad at the fact that they can shut down the government and not give you a paycheck, but make sure they secured themselves that they get a paycheck?
Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm never going to be mad at people getting some food in a refrigerator, and they're not getting that much. The average American that's on food stamps is getting about $168. So when we talk about free stuff, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to the grocery store in the last 2 weeks or so, $168 for two people, is like, okay, we eat for a little bit, but I couldn't imagine a family. I don't know the dynamics of that, but it's not even that much money. You know what I mean? So there's other things. As a taxpayer, for me, it doesn't bother me that money is going to help people. So that don't bother me.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see. Kimberly says socialist Muslim at that. My thing is, I don't have a problem with Mondani, and again, I don't live there. Being a Muslim, I don't understand why people have a problem with that. The Christians have been doing a bang up job, and ain't nobody mad at that.
Right, or the title they give him, I'm a democratic socialist. Isn't that what AOC says she is? Bernie Sanders, he's a socialist. I mean, nobody has a problem with that. But you let a young man that is new on the scene destroy the establishment, all of a sudden he's a communist, he's this, he's that, he's this.
Yeah, and he's a self-proclaimed Democrat socialist. And Brother Janelle, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Facts Not Feelings, you say, sorry to burst your bubble, Mondani is not a real socialist. I don't know. It remains to be seen. And let's see, AFBM, he says Chelsea Clinton be like I was a welfare queen and I had over 200 guests at my wedding and didn't pay a dime. Well, admittedly, your mommy and daddy are rich, so I guess. But I guess I see what you're saying. And this brother Cindy says, stop comparing New York City to anywhere else. Yeah, it's definitely an entity of its own. I totally agree with you on that. First class citizen, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Kevin, he says, all power to the people. Yes, indeed. I thought I saw somebody and I skipped over him. I hope that I didn't. If I did, I'll get back to you. He also says, Sydney, this is why nowhere in the country where 6 out of 7 citizens are liberal. Yeah, and New York City is very liberal. So I agree with you. Like I said, I can never speak for anywhere else other than where I live. And I barely go outside here in Houston. So I damn near can't speak for that. Gearhead says, stupid young white leftists were his biggest supporters. I mean, he had a lot of black people show up for him too. A lot of people showed up. I mean, come on. It wasn't even in terms of looking at races. It wasn't even close, right? It wasn't like, oh, we got to wait and see. So a lot of people voted for him.
Yeah, and by the way, this is my cat T'Challa, my Black Panther. But a lot of young people came out to vote because the fact of the matter is we're having generational discord between the two. Like Demetra said, you've got the people that are older, their houses are paid for, or they can pay their mortgage. They've secured themselves. A lot of young people see that the American dream is something that they could possibly rent, but ain't something that they can have. And so a lot of young people are now like, hey, I'm done with it. And a lot of young people came out and voted for this man.
Absolutely. Dearness, how you doing? Says the mayor of New York was chosen by the global oligarchs and big business. I feel something on a major scale is coming to the United States. New York might be the target. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you look at it, but then, unless it's kabuki theater like it usually is, a lot of oligarchies, and Elon, I think he is the king of the oligarchs. He basically, he spoke out a lot and put a lot of money into it. I mean, you had a lot of people who are basically like, you New Yorkers better not, even that of Governor Greg Abbott, who says that if you try to move here to Texas, we're going to put 100% tariffs on you. It's like, I don't even know how you do that. And then Trump basically said, I'm going to stop sending y'all money if y'all vote in Mondani. So there's a lot going on. So I see what you're saying. But when I think about it a little bit further, it's like, okay, are they, playing good cop, bad cop with us, which is not unusual. It could be, but it's just food for thought.
But ask yourself this, once again, another example. Trump is showing what is happening to the money. I had no idea that you could control politicians and cities and stuff by using federal dollars, our tax money, to blackmail people in a sense. You know what I mean? So a lot of this stuff is new to us as people because, we are always, what was that you said earlier, Demetra? It's not an appeal to authority, but, we're just so secure in letting other people assume that they're going to do the right thing for us. And they're really not. Behind the scenes, these guys are running money to each other and putting money in each other's pockets. All of this stuff has been exposed due to the hatred of Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And Brother James, you've been saying it a lot too. There's a rude awakening for everybody. Everybody's got to wake up, whether you white, whether you black, whatever it is, you got to wake up. And the Trump administration is forcing everybody to see that. As I said, especially the white people, letting them know you're not equal. And I have a video coming out on the African Diaspora News Channel. It's not out yet, to come out sometime next week. But I basically said that white supremacy hates white people too. And those people who believe that they are part of white supremacy, they're learning the hard way that they're not. So you guys will see that. But a lot of people are getting a rude awakening from Trump. He's like, I mean, think about this. If nothing says let them eat cake, like, well, we're fighting. We're going to fight to not send off food stamps to people who need them. And then we're going to fly off to Mar-a-Lago and have a soiree. They had a soiree, right? They have this, black tie affair and this, that, and the other. And it's like, man, you ain't even trying to hide the douchebaggery. You know what I mean? We're going to go off and eat steak. And somebody said that, I can't remember who it was. I wish I could give him credit for it, but they basically said Trump is starving Americans while he's going to put ketchup on his Argentinian steak. But essentially, So yeah, everybody's getting a rude awakening. Like, yeah, I'm not special either. And more importantly, I think a lot of other groups of people are like, oh, you mean we're like the blacks too? You're treating us like the blacks? Ooh. Mad Dog, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. JJ says most of these immigrants have no knowledge of real American history or even American politics. They're just a rubber stamp for the Democrats. Yeah, they used to be, right? Tyrone, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hopefully, Sydney, you saw my questions. I don't remember what they were about New York City. Since you were there, you can just really kind of give us the tea. Arson, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. We're doing fine. Facts Not Feelings says when Mondani won, the first thing he did was go into his favorite restaurant where they spoke his language and no blacks were hired. This is a sign of things to come. Can I ask y'all a question? Facts Not Feeling, I love you. Yes, I do. I do. Why do we get mad when people? Okay, I'll phrase it this way. When you see bears conjugating and fellowshipping with bears, are we naturally mad because they're not fellowshipping with goats? Aren't bears supposed to fellowship with bears? So I say that to say, I think it's a foreign concept to us as Black Americans because we don't do that. You could very well go into a Black-owned business and see everybody else but Black people working there. I could tell you probably 9 out of 10 Black establishments that I've gone in, I've seen mostly everybody else working there with Blacks. So again, when we think about Mondani going to eat with his people, why is that strange? I don't know. I'm just asking. If you don't mind. Brother Jonelle, he says it's not wise to invest in politics on a Titanic. It's wise to get off the ship completely. Read the book Fall of America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Our future is not America. Exit. There you go. Right. We shouldn't even be doing too much, waging our bets and things like that. Like you said, on America, even doing anything for us at all, because like you said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to do for self. So that conversation is, we're having that more and more now too. Cash App, Kara, how you doing? Says try 4,600 plus per month median rent here in New York City. Yeah, that's why they voting for somebody who's talking about rent control and free stuff. Because my God, and then the people talking about leaving. I'm like, I've always wanted to live in New York. So maybe now that people are leaving, if they truly get it under control, I'll move to New York. Enjoy 4 seasons.
Yeah, we always say this, and this is what I argue with people all the time. The great model is Cuba. Look at Cuba. 80% of people in Cuba look like Demetri and I. That's 80% of them, right? As long as the people are getting their basic needs met, they don't mind strong people. They don't mind a dictator. They don't mind these things because their basic needs are met. So this is what we got to understand as Americans. It's just a human nature thing. As long as we could eat, our medical, or we have housing, we don't have a problem. And I think that's really, really important in the Black community, because again, notice, and I'm only speaking on my community. We know the demographics and stuff. I don't care about the other communities. I care about my community. And when I see people freaking out because their Section 8 is going to be cut or that's going to happen, that goes back to what's happening all over the diaspora. When their basic needs are not met, it is a threat to how they're going to live. And that's the whole point of it. The 80% of Cubans support Fidel Castro and the regime over there because he educated them and their basic needs are met.
That is 100% true. First class citizen. Thank you so much. Love and appreciate you for that. He says we have to hold ourselves accountable by not demanding specific tangibles from either party. We are only demographic ethnic group that votes mostly blue for merely party affiliation. Yep, just to say we did it, right? The party of Black people. And it's like, are you sure about that? I'll just put this up. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says the old folks try to hold on to Congress, and they're literally
31.
Huh?
Chick 31.
Chick 30. See, there you go. That's what happened when you read. Chick 31. Yeah, they're trying to hold on, but they're dying. And now Nancy Pelosi finally said, I'll let you guys have it. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, after inside trading over $300 million plus, allegedly.
Allegedly. FBA Strong, how you doing? Since the cat is beautiful. Look at his coat. Super clean. Cats deserve a sparkle. Yes, indeed. Renz, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else haven't I seen, because I see that we are over time. Austin, how you doing? Since socialism is a progression to communism, and communism wants a classless, castless, moneyless, and marketless system, state, and society. Got you. Thank you for the breakdown. Let's see. Alan, how you doing? Says, greeting. Always a pleasure to join the family in such great topics and conversation. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Cynthia says, unfortunately, Mayor Eric Adams let the Democrats use him for funding, providing housing, and protecting the immigrants for their political agenda, but they wouldn't support him for re-election. Yeah, I mean, Eric Adams, I followed him throughout his mayorship. He's a problematic dude. He was just kind of all over the place. He, pretended like he didn't know certain things was going on. Of course, I guess, he fell out with the Biden administration, talking about they left him holding the bill. And he had a lot going on.
Well, no, Demetra, you had a problem with his favorite pastor.
Yeah, he was aligned with that cat. He's in jail now, prison. What's the dude's name? He was
Watmore, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Lamore Whitehead. Yeah, he in prison now, but that was his homie, right? He was vouching for him and stuff. So it's like, Eric Adams had a lot going on. He just wasn't the mayor. He had some fraud allegations. Biden, the DOJ rather, brought him up on fraud and all kind of stuff. There's some stuff that happened up in his office. He just had a lot going on. It's like, man, if New York City ain't Gotham City, I don't know what is. And he was damn sure the mayor of that.
Mm-hmm. Sydney says the Senate has reached a bipartisan deal to extend government funding. So Sydney's right on it. So
what happened, if you don't mind me asking, because I don't have any details on that, Sydney. If you can fill us in, or Donovan, you can look real quick, see what happened. Because something happened for them to come. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to last that long. Randy says, all three religions are originating in Europe. I really don't see the difference. They're all the same. Okay. Black Wolf, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, who else haven't I seen? Brother Abdul, how you doing? Says, I would listen to these older than the older. I said I would listen to these older, the black people telling me to vote for no damn Democrat. I think you meant you wouldn't. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Facts I Feel says New York City is one of the most liberal places. That is one of the most segregated. Be careful falling for that liberal con. I mean, it just really remains to be seen, right? Robert, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Ms. Sweet says true. And Cindy says we send more to the federal government than we receive from Washington. Yep, and California as well. They're in the same.
California is number one. California sends more money back than any other state.
Yep. Did y'all see that Gavin Newsom came to Texas and romping and stomping all up in Greg Abbott's backyard? I was like, damn. Deanna says, right, Donovan, money laundering. And Chick 31 says the old folks trying to hold on in Congress. They trying to, but, they giving up the ghosts. Right there, right? And Black Aaron, how you doing? Says, salute family, love that title. Demetri, can't wait to see it next week. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. It's gonna be on the African Diaspora News Channel. But yeah, white supremacy hates white people too, and they're not getting the memo. They understand it now. It's like, yikes. Brother Jonell says, established by criminals operating on crime. This is America. Every politician is a liar, criminal, and a customer to the whoredom. Both sides, especially the POTUS, Satan Kingdom, Revelations 18:4. Absolutely. Herbert says they don't care. They didn't come here for a history lesson. They talk about the immigrants. They came here to drain us, right? They came for the money. Donovan, what you learned? Christopher, how you doing? It says white media putting blacks on display as face of food stamps, not just Fox. No, it's all of them. I've seen so many outlets do it. I'm like, why are you Negroes taking your black to the end? I saw an old lady talking about, I get $68 and I show it. I'm like, will somebody click Gloda in the throat? Just click her in the throat. Because you need to get on the news talking about some $68 damn in food stamps you ain't getting. I cash app you that not to get on the news. Kayla, how you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Real quick, this is what I got so far. It says the Senate is expected to vote as soon as Sunday night to start advancing legislation to end the 40-day government shutdown, but there are obstacles that could drag the process out for many more days. One of them is Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, who has been warning GOP leaders that he will obstruct passage of any bill that takes aim at the hemp industry in his state. So I guess they're going to try to do this bill tonight and see if it'll fund the bills, fund it.
Yeah, so again, it's probably more kabuki theater. They were going to say that we're going to vote. They've been voting. It's not nothing new, right? So will they actually come to the table? What's changed? Who's going to concede? So all that has to be answered. Yeah, Rand Paul, he's been one of them that's on the conservative side. Is like, nah, I'm not going to be going for the okie doke. It sounds like some other ones are kind of like, yeah, because I think, just my opinion, that they saw what happened on Tuesday and they're like, yeah, Trump, you ain't going to be here long, whether you, or, because you're just termed out, regardless of what you say. But we want to be here a little bit longer. And these people, they taking notes as to who's letting you just run rampant all over Washington. So
yes, and you guys got to remember, when a president goes into his second term, he's a lame duck. He doesn't give a damn what he promised. He's done. He's finished. So he's out the door. Trump doesn't care. He's out the door. So now we have these senators, like Demetra said, they're worried about their political survival and, and moving on and doing what they need to do to the next step. But again, it's up to us to hold these people accountable for what they're doing. We need to upgrade these laws. How is it that they could secure themselves a paycheck and the American people, their bosses, aren't getting paid? Some people are going to be foreclosed on in their mortgages because they haven't made their payments. Remember, a bank is a private entity. They don't have to listen to the federal government, whatever, all this other stuff. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen stories, and thank you, Timothy, for that. Love and appreciate you. Said sub B. I wonder when dude would be back. Yeah, Donovan, he was playing hooky. I had to go and call him and hook him back over here. I've been seeing a lot of stories of people saying, yeah, I asked my landlord, told him, hey, I'm a federal worker, I'm furloughed, and they're like, what that got to do with me? So there's a lot of people, and I think it's sad, but I guess it's a trickle theory, right? Trickle down, trickle up. All right, I'm the tenant, I can't pay my rent. But then now the landlord, I'm sure they got a mortgage on the building, the house. I was like, I got to go have a conversation with the bank and say, okay, my tenant is a federal worker. And the bank is like, hey, I don't know what to tell you. I'm about to head out on my private jet to the soiree in Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so I need this bill to be due. Otherwise, y'all all getting put out. Barat, how you doing? It says, are black people of America 13%? That's what they tell us. Depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah, we are way more than 30%. Let's use our common sense with that. Do you guys realize they've been reporting black people as 13% since the 1960s? Yeah. So either it means one of two things. Either there is a government sanctioned genocide against black people to keep us at that number, or we are menace to our own society by getting rid of our babies and killing each other at a rate that is a human catastrophe that the UN should step in and do something about it. There's no way we're at 13%. And you guys know, I mean, common sense, there's no way we're at 13%.
Right. Maya sisters, he says, Demetra, how do you feel about Spanberger and Cheryl? Governors win, yet these white women depend on black female vote. Black females must leverage votes and get tangibles. No electoral mule. Yeah, they depend on that. I don't know. It just remains to be seen on what they're going to do. The other side of that was Winsome Earl Sears in the Abigail Spanberger race there in Virginia. So it's like, what? Like I said, I mean, this is, if we're thinking about the lesser two evils, you either vote or you don't vote, or you don't. You vote for one or the other, or you don't vote. So those are the choices that you have. But if you're looking at Spanberger and Winsome Earl, the Earl Sears or whatever her name is, I mean, I think if you're a Democrat, most people are like, I'm not voting for that heifer, right? She's big time Trump. She talking about black people don't deserve reparations. A black lady saying this, don't deserve reparations and slavery is over, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, To me, that was a no-brainer if you're a Democrat, right? Of course, we know the Republicans were stomping and romping hard in the paint for her. Now, Mikey Sherrill, not really too. I heard her on the Breakfast Club, but again, those are words. Again, all this remains to be seen as to what they'll do. But yeah, they rely on the black female vote. But I think we keep forgetting to talk about the black male vote, because when I understand Proposition 50, it was more black men that voted for Proposition 50 in California than black women. So we can't keep leaving off. But then the other side of that too is there are other people outside of black people to vote for these politicians. Does that make sense? So it just remains to be seen.
Right. You know, and again, I'm here in California. The redistricting was already in civilian hands. They took it away from the politicians years ago, because what the politicians were doing was they were gerrymandering their districts to where they could get reelected. Now, under this new thing, you've given the power back to the corrupt politician to gerrymander their area to make sure that they get reelected. This just shows you how ignorant the American voter here in California is, because it makes no sense to give corrupt politicians the power to draw their own congressional districts.
I think it was, in my opinion, I think it was an awesome strategy. I think it was an awesome strategy, for one, because you fight back, you let the Republicans and Trump know, okay, y'all want to do it, we'll do it. But see, at least with Gavin Newsom, listen, it's F Gavin Newsom forever, especially what he did to black people in California. But I'm one of those people, I can argue from logic and not emotions. You know, that the Republicans did it, but at least Gavin Newsom said, leave it up to the people. And the people of California decided that we would take 5 seats, redraw the districts if we need to do that. He said, I'm not going to make that decision. But here in Texas, the legislators, the Republicans made that decision, sans the people. And it is a fact that those districts that they are taking are harming, as they say, black and brown people. It's just a fact. It's not, hyperbole or anything like that. So when you think about it, again, the people decided whether it's this, that, and the other. But it's like, how do you fight fire with fire when you let a mother burn you down? Right. So I don't have a problem with California.
And I agree with you. And the thing is, what I keep trying to tell you guys is a monumental thing like that just happened. The black vote didn't matter. We're less than 6%. So again, I know a lot of black people voted for it that are still here, but we're less than 6%. My thing is, I really wish a lot of people across the country look at California as the blueprint of what the Democratic Party wants to do towards black people. Gentrification was mentioned in the movie Boys in the Hood. When did Boys in the Hood come out? 1989? Gentrification takes 30 years. Look at New York, the gentrification that happened up there. In Chicago, Miss Jackson was telling us about, and she lived in California, and she's trying to warn them in Chicago. So wherever you're at in this diaspora in the United States here, take heed of what is happening in California. It's telling the policy of the Democratic Party towards black people. You mean to tell me I could live in a super democratic state of California and I can't get reparations? Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yeah, and then one could also argue that Texas is adverse to black people too, because the districts that they took were predominantly black, right? So, and again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just looking at things for what they are. California was like, okay, well, we're going to make it even. We're not going to allow Trump and the Republicans, because that directive came down from Trump to the Republican states, especially that of Texas, since Texas is large. Hey, we need 5 seats, because the premise is we need to stave off the butt kicking that we know is coming in 2026. So if we can redraw things, then, bet we'll be in there like swimwear. So again, I think that was very strategic what California did. And I think it was smart that Gavin Newsom, he's I know a lot of people try to say, oh, he just cute, but he's doing a little bit more thinking, right? Because at least he could say, I left it up to the people. And the people in California overwhelmingly decided. This wasn't maybe. This was overwhelmingly the people of California decided to, let's play ball, right? Venus, how you doing? Says hi, Dimitri. And Donovan Mondani was backed by the Muslims, the same ones who was building a community in Texas, and said that they plan on continuing throughout. I think it means the United States. I don't have a problem with that. You got Chinatown, you got Vietnam, Little Vietnam,
Little Haiti.
You got all these other little places, but the Muslims want to do it. See, that's why I see we got to be careful with the verbiage and the narratives that are going out, because they're telling everybody to be anti-Muslim. Why? Why are people telling people to be anti-Muslim? What's wrong with them? You can hear all day long about white folks building their own towns. They got sundown towns, the HOA. You know, these white people in Arkansas, Oklahoma, wherever they was, talking about they having an all-white town, and I ain't heard Trump, nobody say nothing about it. But the Muslims talking about they having their own community. Then what? You know what I mean? So I don't want, and I'm just me thinking out loud, Venus. I don't understand why people are mad at that. Black people in America, Black Americans have been told to get together, move together, right? And even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was asking for, certain states or whatever it is, so Black Americans can have our own thing. So I'm asking out loud, what is wrong with Muslims carving out their own spot? We live in the United States of America, where I know white folks think it belongs to them, hell, but they immigrants, right? So there's a whole host of people here in the United States, but they want to make it a problem that the Muslims want their own little enclave, but I could drive it anywhere in Houston and see Nigerians, they have their own part of town. So now if the Muslims are doing it, it's a problem. See, we got to wake up and stop being rocked to sleep with propaganda, because that propaganda is backed by something that you'll never know about. But at the end of the day, it's hate.
Yeah. And my question to you guys that are Democrats and support the Democratic Party, if they could move strategically like that to stop a Republican agenda from whatever Trump is trying to do and hold, unprecedented power for the rest of his next 2 years, have you ever asked yourself, well, why won't they put up a bill when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House twice? Why she never brought a reparations bill up to the floor for a vote when they had the power? When Obama had the power to bring legislation that would help the American people, why they never did it? Why are they only strategic when they're threatened with against their power? That's my question. But yet they depend on the Black vote so damn much to get into office. And when we want just a little bit of a cheese cracker, it's a problem.
And the answer is simple. If you could go somewhere and eat for free, would you pay? You know what I'm saying? The Black community has allowed everybody to eat for free, including the Democrats and everybody. I know I don't want nothing back. Just take everything I got and you can go give it to somebody else. We have not imposed demands. We're starting to do that now. But the Democrats is like, we got a sucker for life, right? We got a sucker for life in the Black community. All we got to do is give them a little shimmy, have somebody show up with some fish, and they'll be good. They'll go away until we ask them to come back out again, until we tote that bus with strippers back out. Then, but they never really ask us for anything, because in a sense, they already know they can't, because for one, we keep them ununified. So without their unity, they're going to fight back and forth. Oh, how dare you? And then, hey, Negroes, it's time to show up and vote again. And we go right to the polls. Timothy says, and thank you so much, love and appreciate you, says, could it be possible Dems be back in 2028? I'm not Nostradamus, although sometimes I think I am. I think absolutely yes. I think that they can be. And I think if you, like I said, I see a lot of writing on the wall and in different places. And trust me, this MAGA is like, it was cute. I saw somebody was at a food bank not too long ago, and they went up to these people and they said, they was in line, said, where are your red hats? Why y'all ain't got y'all red hats on? And the people were looking like, so I say all that to say it was fun, rooting on racism until the racism is real. The racism, as a Communist Manifesto says, is really about the money. That's what real live racism is, about the money, right? So they thought it was fun that Trump was kicking it and sticking it to everybody else. But now the Republicans, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a business owner, whether you're on food stamps, whatever it is, they're saying, oh, okay, we all kind of in the same boat. And that was the overall message to everybody, what color, regardless of what color you are, age, bracket, tax bracket, you're really, in a sense, all in the same boat. No, everybody can get it.
Right. So let me answer that question. It says, could it be possible Dems be back in 2028? And I agree with Demetra, absolutely. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what are they going to do different? What is the point of changing parties if, as a Black person, you ain't getting nothing under Trump, and you ain't getting under, even when they come into power? Everybody else, think about this, you guys. Every time a Democrat gets in office, another group but the black group gets something for it. Be it the LGBTQ MNOP people get something, the trans get something, the illegal immigrants get something. So what are they going to do different? I'm not telling you how to vote, but you got to ask yourself, oh, I hate Donald Trump so much, I'm going to vote for the Democrats. Well, what are the Democrats going to do different that Trump has done? I mean, from what I'm seeing, and I'm not a Trump supporter, he's not concentrating on black people. He's trying to get these immigrants up out of here, which benefits black people. What are the Democrats going to do different? And if you keep rewarding them with bad behavior, like let's look at like our children. When your children are acting very badly, do you go out and get them a PlayStation? No, you don't reward bad behavior. You keep them out of office until they are going to do something better. That's the question I would ask. What are you going to do different? If you're not going to do anything different, especially when it comes to my people, I might as well keep the Republicans in there and keep the anarchy going, because I'm not for the status quo. I want a new system.
Sharon, how you doing? It says, I live in Atlantic City, New Jersey, rather. It says, and people have not gotten their food stamps yet. Yeah, I understand the governor is talking about releasing them. How true it is, I do not know. Maybe they've gotten a warning or whatever, but yeah, I'm hoping that everybody get their food stamps. But as I said too, and I got another video coming out next week. It's called The Middle, right? They being the politicians have to legislate in the middle. Otherwise, we're going to have what you call this pendulum that goes back and forth. Again, I've talked about this a lot, how the Democrats were so far on the left with the mass immigration, the deletion of babies, and a whole host of other things, right? To where people was like, oh, hell no. So we're going to swing the pendulum all the way to the right, where we are now, right? With the Trump administration, MAGA and all of that. And now guess what people are saying? Oh, hell no. So they want to go back to the left. But imagine if they were here in the middle. So you're on the right, you say, okay, this is what we want, but we're going to stop here in the middle. And the left is like, okay, here's what we want, but we're going to stop here in the middle. And in the middle, we agree to do this so that everybody can benefit. And everybody is the people. So until the politicians that are in there understand that pendulum thing, yeah, it's a very large possibility that the Democrats will be back in power, because what people are going to do is essentially tap out and say, nah, you got people that, I mean, look, just if you even think about what the Trump administration is doing to the college system, the college and university system, they're bringing them to their knees and making them pay copious amounts of millions of dollars because they feel like certain institutions are anti-this, y'all fill in the blanks, or this, that, and the other, and they want to write the different verbiage and languages for the universities, and the universities are like Harvard, they're holding out. They're like, you keep the money, do whatever you need to do, but colleges and universities are supposed to be independent thought. That's where they, teach a whole lot of things, but they want to bring the system to bow down, to the country over there. So if you think about stuff like that, there's people who are like, okay, we don't want no more of that kind of stuff. We don't want no more of seeing, like I said, I'm for mass deportation, but I'll be honest with you, I do not want to see people getting slammed to the ground, children being left in the car as they take their daddy off and detain them. I don't want to see that kind of stuff, right? So I think there's a lot of people who are like, okay, it was cute in theory, but then again, when you hear that Trump, he's going on with this ballroom and all these other things, he's having these soirees, having a great Gatsby party on Halloween as they're deciding not to feed people. There's a lot of people, and as I said too, and this is common sense, yes, most of the Republicans are going to be like, yeah, Trump, but that's starting to dwindle. A lot of the Democrats are going to say, no, Trump. But you got to remember, it's that independent vote. That's the one that gets people elected and, chipping off of each side. But so I say that to say, yes, I think there's a large possibility that they'll be back in power. And again, that's why you keep hearing Trump say, $2,000. Or how about we get a money to, the health care money to the people? So you wasn't talking, that's socialism, ain't it? Ain't that socialism? So why are you against it? That's why I said we got to become thinkers. Trump of all people was saying Mondani bad, Mondani, but yet and they're mad because he's a socialist. But then in the last day or so, so he's talking about giving away money. That's socialism. So yeah, that we're gonna have a pendulum action until they get in the middle.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. I don't mind seeing other people getting slammed to the ground and being dehumanized, because when it happened to us, they were ultimately silent. They didn't say a word. And I'm not wishing that on anybody. What I'm saying is, yeah, that meat is greasy, isn't it? My fellow people who are being silent. And, when we were going through all of this problems. And I have a lot of Hispanic friends and African friends. And these were the people that would come over here with a colonial mindset, like, y'all ain't working hard enough. Y'all ain't doing this. Oh, you black people are lazy. Saying all that stuff. Oh, you're imagining this stuff. And now that it's happening to them, they realize it isn't right. It isn't, something that should be done. But, I'm not disagreeing with Dimitri. I don't necessarily want to see it. But I live in America. This is how our police agencies get down. Welcome to America. Don't come over here just for the good stuff. Come over here and get some of this, all of this white man and what he has to offer.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly, because I think we could have two conversations that it's wrong. And thank you, Kimberly, for that. I love and appreciate you. It's wrong that it happens to us, but I'm not just one of those people who would say, nan, that's what you get type of thing. I think it's wrong to happen to anybody, because if you think it's wrong that it happened to us and people are going to get what they got coming to them, then we also got to think it's wrong that it happens to other people. Yeah, I don't, again, agree with the mass immigration, but I do not agree with what we see at all, because unfortunately, yeah, there are some of our people getting caught up in that. And are they being detained? No. But there are some that are getting slammed to the ground and beat down and, all kind of stuff. And I would never agree with, children getting pepper sprayed and being left unattended because their parents have been snatched up. I would never agree with that kind of stuff. So to me, it's not even apples and oranges. It's not even, it's apples and oranges, not really a comparison, because it's wrong when it happens to anybody, And again, you're thinking about the Trump administration. They would rather fund the ICE agents and not fund the aviation in regards to the government to keep people safe in the skies. They'd rather spend that money to gaffle up people on the ground. And I'm not saying that they don't need to go home. They do. But it just goes to show you where their priorities are. And that's going to cost a lot of people. The airline industry is going to pay a lot of money because they got to pay that money back. They can't keep that money. It's been ruled that they got to give people a refund. So I think that the last time it was the air traffic controllers who caused the shutdown to end. But I think it's going to be a lot of other people like, hey, Trump, wrap up the ketchup and steak. Okay. It's time to open the damn government.
Yeah. Federal workers by law, they have to reimburse. So they're going to get that money back. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, they get the money back. But as we said, the landlord don't have to let you stay. The landlord can be like, F you and Trump. Okay, I want my money, right? So so there's no. It'd be different if there was some sort of moratoriums put in on certain things. Okay, then I could kind of get with it. But you telling me that you're gonna pay me back, which is cool. But right now I'm struggling. I'm suffering. I don't have no money, right? Or I got to go figure out a work to keep a roof over my family's head because Congress are playing games with the American people's livelihood. James, how you doing? Say one judge can't stop anything. It has to be a majority. Stop allowing people to lie to you. Do your own research so you are not ignorant to facts. Well, I'm about to have to catch myself. You need to do your research. Why don't you do your research? And of course, it wasn't just one judge. It was a few judges that did it. Right now, that judge just happened to be in Ketanji Brown's district, where she is over looking at emergency, cases and things like that. But
yeah, we've already explained that. Yeah.
I can't stand them old folk come on here talking about you do your research. Do your research before you check the people up here talking. If you don't mind.
And no disrespect to anybody, but that person is going off. No, I'm talking for me. I'm not calling you ignorant, but that's what we talk. I mean, when people just they hear a soundbite and and again they don't know government and they're saying, oh, the whole Supreme Court has got to vote on this. That isn't how it works. There's so many. The Supreme Court only takes so many cases a year. That's why everything is kicked down, and the judges, they get so many cases in their district, and then it goes down to the next level. And we've explained that. But again, you guys, here we are with another person who's watching CNN or MSDNC or whatever, and that's where they get their information, and they don't understand how government works.
And I'm calling them ignorant, okay? Because that's the type of time we on. It hasn't even gotten to the Supreme Court yet, which is why she said we're going to push it back down. Before, she had three choices. She could grant it, she could deny it, or she can let the Supreme Court, her homies, decide on what needs to be done. So that's what happened, right? But you need to do your research. I can't. Oh, it's like a nails to it. You know, Donovan, I always say, it's ignorance. That's then you're going to go on with the ignorance and then jump in the chat talking about it done y'all research. Up yours. That's the type of time we on. I almost said the S word. Thank you so much. Love to appreciate. I'm going to bring it down a notch or two because I know my daughter going to stick her head in here. Or my sister gonna call me like, hey. Thank you so much. It says that we have to stop voting in people to represent us because they happen to be Black. We need to back people who will represent our interests. There you go. The Black stuff has got to, like, we in theory, we would love to have somebody Black in office, but if you're doing it because they Black, Donovan's cat is Black. Okay, does Donovan's cat deserve to be meow making decisions? No. I mean, T'Challa's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but the cat is Black. A Smurf is blue. That's the vote blue no matter who ideology, right? So yeah, we got to have a little bit more common sense. But yeah, that just really, you know, I heard the other day on the radio, somebody was so mad. They said, it just drive me up a wall. That's what that comment did. It drove me up a wall. Sherry, you say, Demetri, I really do not care about these people getting deported and how they got to leave here because they do not give a damn about us. They come here and ish on us, care about us. I don't care. I'm not telling y'all what to think. I'm not telling y'all how to feel. That's an individual thing. I, Demetri K, will never advocate to see other people brutalized, even though our people were brutalized, because if you believe in the laws of the universe, which you put out there, it comes back to you. You got to believe that's true for you. We are not in a moral standing, I say we, I'm saying me, in a moral standing to where we can look on high and say, that's what you get. I would never want to do that, right? I don't agree that they should be here. It's like I don't agree that our people on those plantations should have been, you know, had something taken from them or whipped. And I don't agree with that either. I don't agree with none of it. So yeah, I know those people do not look favorably on us, but I can also say, hey, I don't think you should be over here illegally, but I also will not co-sign. So how about that? I personally will not co-sign what's happening to people who are here like that, right? I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I will. So that's our difference in that. I will, but Demetri won't, but I will.
T. Clay, how you doing? Says, nah, girl, I agree with Donovan. Okay, y'all. Yeah, I can't tell y'all what to do. I can't, but Demetri K will never agree to anything like that. I don't care who it is. I would never will. Now, some people deserve it. Sure. Tia, how you doing? Says, bye to anyone not Aboriginal to this land like us indigenous. Okay, Pop, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sydney says, I still send you something in your inbox. Okay, I'll try to check it out before we leave. Brother James says, Sister K, I see where you're coming from about the wrongs we see from law enforcement officials, but remember, we didn't come here illegally. I didn't say we did. Says they came here illegally and the boule taken off from. Listen, all that is true. We did not come here illegally. And all the boule. Yes, all that is true. But again, I am not, because I know what you put out there, you got to get back. Right? I'm not going to wish or celebrate or any of that other stuff. And no, but I'm not. And I don't care. Okay? Again, I don't think that they should be here, but I'm never going to be like, yeah, that's what they get. Because I don't like it when they do that to our people. That's the same for people who are saying they agree with what's going on with some of those immigrants, or the people out there agreeing that our people, George Floyd, you know, should have had his life taken from him. So I personally refuse to join ranks of people like that. Because my dad always tells me, you know, we hear this saying, oh, we're all equal. No, we're not. There are people who are better than others, and I am better than people who think that it's okay to harm other people or take their life for whatever differences they may have. I will never stand on the field with anybody who thinks like that. But again, I can't tell y'all what to think. Easy says, D, that young black child they beat in Chicago while walking her dog never got any justice, but I respect your opinion. Yeah, but what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Again, nobody's co-signing what happened to our people, but I'm not co-signing what happened to their people. I actually don't really have a large opinion on that. I care about my people, but I'm not going to sit up here and out of my mouth say, oh, well, that's what you get. I'm not mad about it because that is not, I ain't raised that way. So again, I do have some sort of a moral compass. I was just never raised that way. So I will not apologize for that, but I'm not telling y'all not to think that way. I don't think any of it is right. Jerron, how you doing? Says, is that a black cat, cat getting his hug in? Possibly. Let's see. Cindy says ground stop in Newark airport is so if people are flying in. Eesh. No reparation, no vote. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Laura, what's going on? She said, what goes around comes around. They should get a taste of what we as black people have been going through for centuries. Well, I can't tell y'all that. I'm not built that way. I'm not built that way at all. Are they getting a taste? Is that up for me to say they getting a taste? That's not my call. But I'm never gonna hope, wish, and pray anything like that on anybody. If you got, listen, one thing I know for sure about the laws of the universe, karma, do on the others, all that, what I do know is that you will get it regardless if I want you to or not. But I also know when you sit up there cheering for other people to get it, you in the way. You in the way. So I'm personally not going to be sitting up here professing that kind of stuff out my mouth because I know better. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Timothy says, let not your heart be troubled. I'm calm. Kimberly says, black faces in high places will not save you. Nope, sure won't. Pop says, my neighbor's kids and her friend got caught stealing TV dinners out of Kroger this afternoon, and they are lily white. Yeah, but see, they ain't gonna tell those stories though. They're not gonna have them up on the news. Easy says, D, I can't see you too much. It says, black tail in my you talking about the Donovan's cat. Majestic, how you doing? Says those moral universal laws are coming back in full circle. Yeah, but we don't have any control of that, right? I don't have any control of who gets get back. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I wish that on anybody. I'm not gonna do that. So sorry that y'all don't agree, but that's okay. I don't need people to agree with me and my moral compass, right? Sometimes you're gonna be alone in how you think, and I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong. It's just how I feel. Arson, you said Donovan tried to smooth it out with more diplomacy, but Dimitri insisted on adding, and he's ignorant. I'm just saying, I know when we was coming up, we was told you got to be nice. The hell we do. We got to tell the truth, right? And the truth is there are some ignorant people. Now, I might be getting older. Some people be like, wow, Dimitri, you really be doing a lot. But I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn because if you ignorant, how would you grow if you don't know you ignorant? If we keep on placating, and that's an inside joke. But if we keep on, telling people, oh gosh, you gotta be nice, and not telling you ignorant, then how you not gonna be ignorant? If I'm ignorant, tell me. I might not like it, but if I'm truly ignorant, I want to grow from that point. I don't want to just be, acting stupid with everybody because everybody is acquiescing. I said that at the beginning of this year, 2025. We are not going to be acquiescing the foolishness of fools. Okay, and I'm gonna stand on that. Cindy says, I agree. I'm not co-signing and brutalizing people. Nah, it ain't cool. Like I said, y'all want to do that? That I'm not telling you not to, but I'm not. Herbert says, I'll leave all that carrying on for my enemy stuff up to Jesus. I mean, I agree with you. It's not my call, Let's see. Who else haven't I seen? I know we are still behind. Neo, thank you so much. Love and appreciate you. Says, vote for challengeables, not for MLK Boulevard, right? Because you know what go down on MLK Boulevard. Yeah, you got to stay away from there. Jerron says, I saw a Mexican man. He came here illegally 30 years and is self-deported because his people are hated. Well, yeah, I mean, you've been here 30 years illegally, and now you're leaving because your people are hated. I think the truth is that, their people are hated, but then the other part is people hate that your people here illegally getting all there is to get. So the truth is in the middle.
Yeah, see, my opinion on that, because I have a lot of neighbors that are like that, and I think they're gaslighting because I think a lot of people, American people are, we're a nation of immigrants. We have no problem with you coming here the right way. We have a problem when you break our laws because I can't go into Mexico and do what you did here that you're doing in America. You're hated, if that's how you feel, because you're here illegally. If you go back, which would be the easiest thing to do, and come in the right way, Trump has given you an opportunity to go back and come in the right way, no problem. But if we have to come and get you, then you might not be able to come back to America at all ever again. And I really believe that. It isn't the fact that the people are hated. It's the fact that you come here and you break our laws. Like I do a lot of traveling. Demetra does a lot of traveling. The worst thing you can do in another person's country is be disrespectful. And Demetra, we were on our way to where? Africa. And I was taking pictures on a plane. The worst thing you could do is not follow their laws and their instructions. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. And Donovan almost got the whole damn trip canceled. Okay. The whole trip. So yeah, sometimes you just got to sit down and button your lip, put your seatbelt on and say, where are we going? Sister Shirley says, I would never cheer it on, but I don't concern myself with what's happening with them. I mean, I'm not saying I concern myself with them. I just don't like to see certain things. And I think that's okay. I think that makes me human. And I'm all right with being human. But yeah, like I said, I think there's several things can be true. We could be for mass deportation, but it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes I think y'all doing a lot. Just like they did a lot when they cheered on what happened to George Floyd. So I think we could have a couple of conversations all at the same time, right? And Barricade, which you said it was Charlemagne, right? I'm not sure which interview you're talking about in regards to what he was talking about. You talking about when he said the Democrats need to give up? I don't think Charlemagne was right. I think the Democrats are there. I think everybody in Washington should be there to fight for the people. I think that's their job, but to give up, because on the other side of that, again, I'm in the middle, so I try to argue both sides. But the Democrats are saying if we tap in or tap out, then people's health care premiums are going to go up. Somebody said that their care premiums is already skyrocketing. And I've heard and seen a couple people say that their health care premiums are going through the roof.
Yeah, Demetra, and I was going to say that it's going to go up anyway. This is a game. They're acting like they're doing something. I think it's going to go up anyway.
300%?
In some markets, yes.
Yeah, but that's like I said.
No, I'm not saying it's right, but the point is that's what's going to happen, because we didn't want this ACA anyway. We wanted payer's choice, or what's that other thing that we wanted? It wasn't this, but this is what they gave us. Do you guys realize the people on Congress don't even the people that even voted this crap in, they're not even on the ACA. They have a totally different medical system that they're on. But the American people wanted payer's choice. That's what we wanted. Or real universal health care. But they didn't want to give us that. They gave us this knowing that the insurance companies were going to have free reign at how they do the rates and stuff, which at the end is going to make a lot of people drop off of the ACA because they can't afford it. They knew this. They knew this going into it. Experts even told them so.
It all remains to be seen. Cap Pass. He says they should just comply with the police. However, they are resisting arrest, so they're getting slammed to the ground. You can't fight the police no matter what. Yeah, I agree with that, and we hear that as far as our people.
Wait! Stop! I got to stop you. They're not fighting the police. They're fighting an agency.
And that's what I was going to say. In a lot of cases, those agencies don't even tell them who they are or any of that other stuff. So, tell me who you are before you go snatching me in a van, right? At least tell me that, because we have heard about cases where people are impersonating ICE or whatever and snatching people up, right? So at least tell me what it is, okay? I can understand the apprehension of a van or whatever pulling up and you snatching you out your car. It's a lot, so yeah, all that. Randy says, you're absolutely right, Demetri. The harm you wish for others has a blowback effect. Although I do understand where the brother is coming from. I can't go to any foreign country and post up indefinitely. No, I totally agree with you. Yeah, and they've just been getting away with it under all administrations. And now Trump, his second term came in and says, oh, okay, bet, right? So yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, I'm for mass deportation, but again, I think it's in the how. You know what I mean? Papanelli, rather. You say, the people are Americans, okay? Blanca, how you doing? Said the government is about to open back up tonight, but without the Obamacare subsidy, Senate is voting on it right now. So yeah, it just remains to be seen.
Yeah, and it's going to open up so they can continue to negotiate. This is why the clean CR that the Republicans wanted, it made no sense for the government to shut down. They wanted to continue to negotiate. If they had to vote on it every week to keep the government open, the Democrats, and I'm not saying whose fault because they're both at fault, but that's what they wanted 2 months ago, a clean CR to continue negotiating. And here it is 2 months later. Look at all the chaos that's been created.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It remains to be seen, but at the end of the day, I think it's an eye opener for Americans in general to be careful of who you vote for, especially on the state and local levels. You're going to send some people in there who are really going to, go in there playing with your emotions and your life and all of that. That's what they're supposed to do. But now you got a bunch of clowns and jokers in Washington, trying to legislate for themselves and themselves only, because nobody there in Washington was harmed by this shutdown at all. Nobody was. It's the American people, and you should not live in a country where you have to beg people to take care of the needy. You just shouldn't, because they take care. Argentina got a $40 billion bailout, and he was at the soiree in Mar-a-Lago doing the Trump dance, and why would you not be? You got a $40 billion bailout. Yeah. He said, truthfully, this feels like another purge in disguise with the healthcare stuff. Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Which is why it behooves us to eat our fruits and vegetables, and
can I say this? Can I say this before we get out of here? If you're a federal worker, a person that was affected by this shutdown, and by legal law, you will get all your payback and stuff like that. And if you've been dipping into your savings to survive this, I'm going to say that because I was a federal worker. So I'm going to say this. I think it's important to say, when that big lump sum check comes in, please don't, go and trick it off somewhere and, and go get this and go get that. Put it back in your savings account and try to get back to normal.
African Native, thank you so much for that. I think people should spend the money the way they want to spend it, and they should not have to be spending their savings because the people you elect to go to Washington are playing games and cannot get it together. They think life is a joke and all that other stuff. Like I said, if I was a politician and I had the government shut down, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I would not be seen partying and, and all the other nonsense that they got going on. Is very insensitive. But again, 2026 is coming up, so people need to be cognizant of that. I've seen people say, well, I'm sitting on the couch. I don't think you want to sit on the couch during the state and local elections. Okay, the federal government, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do neither way, but I think you should show up for your state and local, because again, we talk about this all the time. I voted this Tuesday. It was 22 things on the ballot, some stuff here and there or whatever, but I voted, right? Because I can't tell people to vote in state and local elections and not do it myself. So you may vote for your House representative, your senator, your judges, your DAs, and your sheriffs, all your city councils, your mayors, your governors. That's where your state and local elections are. And so then you cry about what is going on in your town, even as simple as potholes. Y'all know how I feel about potholes here in Houston. Is dirt potholes, right? Because they damn near tear your whole car up. So it's things as simple as that. What is the city council doing? Why do they think it's important to fix the potholes or whatever? What are they doing with the money that they get? Blah, blah, blah. So when you sit at home, you talk about, I'm not voting, I'm sitting on the couch. Well, it depending on what your neighborhood looked like, it's probably because you sat at home. You didn't care who was on your city council, and more directly, who was your district representative, your city council member. You don't care. Most people don't even know, right? Something go wrong, they don't know. They because I didn't show up, and they said especially state and local elections, I have the lowest turnout. There's a lot of times when people just get on. They're like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd have a chance. But people just didn't show up. So they might have got 1, 2, 10, 20 votes more than the other person. So I cannot speak to that enough, because what happens is those people, whether it's your governor, your House representatives, your senators, your assembly people, whatever, they are supposed to rally for you as a conglomerate in Washington. So right now, you think about it, because the pendulum swung the other way, all to the right. You got, a lot of people who are like, Trump, whatever it is you want us to do, we're going to do it 10 times over. So now we're here. And then again, the pendulum might swing the other way. But if you would just show up and just do a little research, they give you the ballots before you show up to the poll. Just look and see what's on the ballot. If you don't know, ask somebody, research, Google, whatever it is, so you can at least be abreast. Don't go vote all down ballot. It's the name, because I saw that person's flyer and face all over the city. So that looked like, because that just means they have more money, which is why they say money wins races, because they can buy the fancy, glossy commercials and this, that, and the other, but they may be no earthly good. So 2026 is coming up. If you do not like what is going on now, it is Trump gonna be there unless he, but he gonna be there. And the other fear is that from the Republicans, and they've said this out loud, they fear like if the Democrats, this is what they're doing, so the Republicans are now doing scare tactics. If the Democrats get in, they may try to impeach Trump again, right? And even Steve Bannon stood his for. What's wrong with him? Do he take baths? He look like he ain't took a bath. He look like pig pen, right? It's fuzzy and scruffy and just dirty looking. But anyway, wherever he was, somewhere, some Republican thing, he literally said out of his mouth that we need to get rid of the filibuster and we need to ram stuff through because we might be going to jail. So the other thing that would make you think, if you heard that, well, why, sir? Why would you be going to jail if you ain't doing nothing wrong? Do you feel like you're committing crimes and doing things that are harmful? Why? And Steve Bannon, see, this is why we also, and I know whether you sit on side of the aisle, I'm glad I don't sit on no side of the aisle, but whatever side of the aisle you sit on, Donovan, why aren't people asking why the Steve Bannon and Steve Miller got so much goddamn say-so what's going on in the United States government and nobody voted for them?
Again, when you got 85-year-old people that are extremely older that delegate a lot of their authority, this is where you get these people who run in their name.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So again, for those who want to sit on the couch during the state and local elections, and Sister Cynthia, this, not that you said at home, but people diverting water from one clean source to another one, and then you have a Flint, those people are elected, right? Those people are voted in the office, or again, in some cases, they're not voting in, because again, a lot of times people just don't show up. Like they said, the New York City race, they said that was the most votes had, I think, in 60 years or so. Mondani got over 1 million votes on his own, which they said is rare, because it's what they call like an off-season type. It's not a federal election. So that shouldn't be the case. I don't know how many people are in New York City, but damn, they're considering that rare. That's weird.
Well, I have a question. Let's finish off this 2-hour thing real quick. I got a quick question for you. Because of the government shutdown, I want you guys to realize this. Because of the government shutdown, do you guys realize half of the IRS force has been laid off? Now, the reason I bring that up is this, and this is what I actually believe. The hatred of Donald Trump is so bad that people can't see anything that this man does is good. And like you just said, you have your standard of what you think about brutalizing people, whatever, which is great. But I also have a standard that I don't believe everybody is ultimately all evil. Even Adolf Hitler endorsed the Volkswagen, right? The people's car. That's something that was an Adolf Hitler thing, right? This guy's the most evil man in the world. Almost half of the IRS agents have been laid off. Now, how many of you Democrats out there remember a man named Joe Biden who went out and hired 80,000 additional IRS agents to make sure that he could shake you down for every penny in your damn pocket? And for those of you who were affected by that, Donald Trump has gotten rid of half of them, which is affecting the money flow. I get all that. We'll see how that's going to do. But it's rumored that he wants to abolish the IRS, right? Because according to the Constitution, only the states are supposed to collect taxes, right? So anyway, those of us that know history, that's how it's supposed to be. The federal government is not supposed to be collecting taxes. But anyway, half of the agents are being gone, which kind of helps you. So if you're being audited right now, your audit is probably on pause because the government is closed and half the agents can't do the job. And it's like he's kind of killing the agency off slowly. Some of these federal agencies, they can't work. They're down to bare minimum. So my point is this. If you are a hardcore Democrat, it is very telling to me how we forget The promises that Joe Biden made to you guys, student debt relief, all this other stuff, but this is the same party that went and hired an additional 80,000 agents to shake you down for every damn penny in your pocket. What's your thought on that, Demetra?
I know, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, even the way, people receive money as far as Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and all that other stuff. They want you to report a lot of things. I mean, even like with the PPP loans, they wanted to disclose who got what. Under the Trump administration, they was like, shh, right? Because we know that there's some people who already had money to get. So, yeah, what was that about? You're absolutely right with the Biden administration. What was that about that like, damn, you think about it, all the taxes you pay in America, and you going to make sure you get every penny? My Lord, people scared, and there's something else that's supposed to be taking place too. But with the Trump administration, what I understand, in some sense, don't quote me, I was going to have it wrong, but in a sense, they're supposed to be getting rid of how you file electronically. So it is said that it's supposed to perhaps put more money in the people who own these tax companies to do your. I don't know. It's a lot going on, but yeah. The Biden administration did do that. So,
but but my point of that was, here's Donald Trump. What American would be against abolishing the IRS? Who would be against that? Who would be against that? But our Trump derangement syndrome is so much. We hate this man so much that no matter what he does, it's never good enough for you guys. I'll still vote Democrat. For all we know, the next Democrat that gets in there is going to up the IRS agents again. Then we're back in the same situation.
I think, and who are you 2 hours? I think the problem with hating Trump, no matter what he does, is because the things he does is very egregious. You know what I mean? Like I said, just on the strength of looking at it for just on the surface level, you're appealing to the Supreme Court to stop giving American citizens food while you wrote a check to Argentina. Essentially, in Congress, check to Argentina for $40 billion, and it takes $9 billion to fund the food stamp program every month. So I think it's so when you say that Donovan, people hate everything he does. I don't know if they hate everything that he does, but the things that he does, like Cynthia says, he's transparent. The things he does out on the open is like, golly, man. So I think that's probably a little bit of it. More money. How you doing? Says, welcome back, Donovan. So anyway, we love and appreciate y'all. We'll be back here tomorrow, Monday evening, to see what else jumps off. If this shutdown is actually going to be over. Again, it remains to be seen. Brother James said, Minister Farrakhan said Trump is on an anomaly. He's somebody that doesn't fit the norm. There you go. And he said, I'm going to drain the swamp. All that's like you draining the swamp and every damn thing else. So anyway, we'll see y'all later tomorrow for sure. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Peace.